Dead by Daylight's worst map, filled with god structures as far as the injured Dwight can sprint to. No other map offers the survivors this much safety, and if we as a community care about balanced maps, we need to keep talking about Badham Preschool. Hey guys, Vigo apprentice Cheryl Main here. We called you Wanderers here today to discuss how the Badham Preschool map is arguably the worst map in DBD. Now, DBD has a plethora of terrible maps, and there's a lot of factors that go into what makes a bad map. Does it favor one side over the other? Does it limit certain weaker killers' ability to play? Does the map incentivize unfair strategies and toxic gameplay? We believe Badham Preschool checks a big fat yes to each question we just asked. Sure, Badham being a terrible map is not breaking Dead by Daylight news, or anything, but the casual player may not easily pick up on why this map is bad. To be honest, when we started playing, we didn't know how bad this map was either. Baby killer players being sent to this map might not pick up on why it's a bad idea to chase that Clicky McClickerson into the scary preschool all alone, or why this double-decker building is known as the House of Pain. Not gonna lie, kinda thought this map was gonna get at least a touch-up when the PTB for New Freddy came out. Oh, fudge. Wrong Freddy, guys. Take it back. I said take it back! Fear not, for hope is not yet lost on these players, cause we are passing this cursed knowledge on to you, our dear viewer! Badham itself features the town of Springwood. At first glance, this map appears to be like any other DBD map, but on closer inspection, there is a huge lack of your normal tiles such as T and L, or even your basic palette and window loop. Instead, there are 4 god structures on this map, and each one is essentially sealed tight to prevent the possibility of any fun and fair gameplay from leaking in. What makes this map painful for killers is whenever the survivor gets injured, they have enough sprint to reach at least one of these buildings from almost anywhere in the map. No other realm has this many strong structures like this, each one guaranteed to house a gem and/or a secure way to waste the killer's time. And I know what you might be thinking, but Cheryl, Haddonfield has like 5 houses, and to that I say, Haddonfield also has a fat wide-ass street. And you better look both ways before you cross, because the Legion just got their driver's license. Ah! Haddonfield may be worth its own video, because behavior may have gutted that map a little too well. Back to Badham. When taking a look at the structures, we need to assess each building one by one just to really drive home what mean options the survivors have at their disposal. Killer Shack is weakest, but only because it should be the most familiar to run out of all the structures. Almost every DBD map has one of these bad boys, usually supported by surrounding filler loops here. These filler loops can be really great at delaying the window blocking at Shack. I know I said this structure was the weakest, but by no means should you underestimate what a prepared survivor can do with this building. This brown second-story house has a single loop upstairs and usually more than one strong window downstairs, sometimes a pallet in the front yard, but most recognized by the one gen in the tiny upstairs room. A beginner mistake a lot of survivors make is trying to vault this window here without so much as looking back to see if the killer is cruising for a bruising downstairs. Instead, look for opportunities to vault the first floor windows or try to run laps on the second floor before throwing down the upstairs pallet. The school is meant to be Badham's main focus, and sometimes comes with a deep, dark basement that survivors have to commit a good chunk of time to escape. But also, this fence here is painful. These filler loops will always be here, and Nurse is the only killer in the game that will not normally be bothered by these pallets in the lower floor. Killers, be careful, you do not want to break this wall here. It makes looping that white fence easier for survivors. House of Pain is, well, painful. And even if the killer gets the drop on the survivor here, survivors, you have a lot of agency to lure the killer to a favorable window when you go up the back stairs. Seriously, in the right hands, this house is stronger than the preschool. Are we sure this isn't the real main building? That's all 4 structures for you. Now surely the realm of Springwood must have some crazy variety to justify having 5 versions of itself. Am I right? Oh, you sweet summer child, let me help you. The Pied Piper can take you to one of 5 versions of Badham, but what exactly sets these 5 versions apart? Fact is, a long time ago, Badham used to be an even greater survivor-sided map. But then the devs did their best to chop it up into smaller survivor-sided maps. The very first map to get this treatment, by the way. Smelly Hams 1, 2, and 3 share the exact same dimensions, 96 by 96 meters, with Ham 1 being the original Badham, if I recall. Ham 4 is the smallest, and Ham 5 is the largest of these versions. Those 4 god structures we talked about? Well, here's how they look on Smelly Ham 1. The school and Killer Shack sit diagonally across from each other. The House of Pain sits either to the left of the school or behind it. The Brown House will then take the other location. These 2 buildings like to switch with each other, I guess. Better get used to it. The 2 streets, Duggan Avenue and Oshash Avenue, intersect to your right as you're leaving the front entrance of the preschool. And that sums up the original Badham. According to Nightlight, Badham 2 is their most deadly version of the 5. And by a wide margin too. Let's see if we can begin to understand why. Here you'll notice the preschool sits proudly in the upper middle of the map, facing the other structures, whereas before, the school faced the edge of the map. House of Pain, Killer Shack, and Brown House sit across an unnamed street. Let's pretend it's still Duggan Avenue. Oh, Hop and Brown still like to switch with each other. As to why this version is the deadliest, the only odd thing out is so far is how far Hop and Brown House are from each other. Our only other theory is with Badham being a great troll map for Survive with Friends or Swifts. Troll teams are constantly throwing games to mess with their killers. We may have to move on for now. Now, Hop, Brown, and Shack are the most clustered they have been thus far. Hop and Brown House still like to play hot seat and switch around, don't you worry. School sits almost to the top left of the map now? In our diagram, the school faces Hop, but Hop and Brown are always facing Killer Shack. Perhaps the biggest disrespect, poor Oshash Ave, has returned but at a third of its length, might as well be a drive-through for Killer Shack now. This mini street sits between Shack and another building to the Shack's right. Nothing too special about this version, though weird how the buildings are slowly getting closer to each other. It's very possible you don't need filler loops to combine Shack with a different building here. Oh no, I think we almost did that in one of our examples. Badham 4 is where the dimensions of the map break away into a shape that's not a complete freaking square. Remember, this is meant to be our smallest version. The preschool sits on the west side and takes up most of the space there. Hop or Brown House will then sit directly across. Duggan Avenue will then stretch directly from the main entrance of the school. The other Hop or Brown building will then sit in the far north, and Killer Shack sits all the way opposite of the school. This may be the farthest Shack and school are from each other yet. The filler loops that were once around the school are now scattered between the other 3 structures. The perimeter around the school does not leave room for any other tile or filler there. At least these structures aren't quite as clustered, but damn are they still sprintable. Here we reach the final version of Smelly Hams. The largest version, sure, but once again, Hop or Brown and the school sit across from each other. To get to the school, you now have to cross Oshash Avenue. My behavior. We are extra daring today. Duggan Avenue sits to the west of the school. At least we think this is west. Being trapped in a never-ending hell dimension makes telling cardinal directions hard after a while. In our makeshift blueprint, Killer Shack and Brown House sit across from Oshash, with the Brown House tile residing closer to the far east wall, and Killer Shack closer to the far southern wall. Brown and school are separated by a tiny unnamed dead-end street. The other half of Duggan, perhaps? Or is this Shash? Ah, screw it. Let's name you Shuggan Street. So what did we learn after visiting all 5 versions of Badham? Splitting up the map into multiple versions has the potential to introduce map variety, but without addressing these whack buildings, then nothing changes between all 5 versions. This isn't map development. This is asking an Animal Crossing player to reorganize their towns. What could you do to improve this design? Fire. No, seriously, in different versions, burn down different buildings and in their wake, turn them into weaker but more traditional DBD tiles. Oh, and just in case you don't think that works lore-wise...
This is for my son!
But yeah, this map shouldn't continue with 4 different fortified bunkers when you spawn in. This is probably one of the biggest reasons why Badham sucks.
Run down the window. I repeat your name. Losing no wisdom. Why do you
Hey Wanderers, you made it to the end of the video. Now is the perfect time to let you know our channel hit 50 plus subscribers not too long ago. I cannot thank you guys enough. I know it took us a while to put out our first actual video of the year, not to mention the newer shorts we put out never really did introduce who this crazy anime-looking chick is, but wanted to make sure it was a little extra special for you guys. Yes, before you ask, my character is meant to be a personal take on Cheryl Main, but if she was an apprentice of Vigo. Thank you to the artist Deep Dive for helping me realize my concept. Oh, and try to remember, you are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a single drop. Whatever darkness you are facing, know that you got what it takes to see it through, and I am rooting for you.